RPG MMO. Now, these are games that are reminiscent of classic action RPG, as in the old looter, isometric hack and slash type of games. Now, there's adventure action RPGs, there's action combat MMOs, but these are the games that remind me of classic action RPGs, but are uplifted into the modern era with the MMO genre. So I'm gonna rank them not based on how good I think the game's gonna be or how pretty it is, but based on that massivity, how they're taking these action RPG roots and then intertwining them with the MMO. That sounds exciting to you? Hey, it does to me. Keep the hype alive. Let's jump into the top 5. All right, coming in at number 5, I am obligated to slap this one down here, and that's going to be Lost Ark. Now, it's actually only number 5 because at its core, it's very much a dungeon diver, which means that you'll be partying with 4 players, and you might have maybe a dozen players in a zone, and there will be an open world section. There will be MMO mechanics, technically, which is nice, and it's gonna make the list, but it's at the bottom of the list despite its obvious polish and quality and even my bias toward this type of gameplay, which we'll get into. It's just, for an MMO, it's not an MMO first. It is an action RPG first, which this list is kind of supposed to promote the opposite of that. But still, regardless, Lost Ark is looking freaking amazing and beats out its direct competitors in the dungeon diver sector, well, in many ways, but also because it does have that extra fluff of the MMO-dom that it has entered into. Regardless, Lost Ark is really exciting to me because I'm really more of a fan of the sort of combo-y, slow-paced, methodical type of bosses that you might see at endgame raids in MMOs or in boss fights like in Monster Hunter and Dark Souls, and I feel like this game has that, intertwined with the spectacle. Have you seen some of these dungeons and the boss fights, those animations of, the classes, the clashing of the monsters? It seems incredibly intense in the ways that I want it to be. Now, as an action RPG, it's still going to be about the looting, it's still isometric, it's still going to be, to an extent, not as adventurous, and it's not as MMO, which is why it's only number 5, but for what it is, what it aims to be, it's going to do all that. Probably, it's going to be the best at what it does, and then the little bit extra, the icing on the cake, it is probably, appropriately, going to be considered an MMO as well. All right, next up, I feel like I'm kind of cheating putting this on the list, so let me please just excuse myself immediately. We're going to put Albion Online, which Albion is a fully released game technically. It was crowdfunded, it went through its betas, freaking long beta testing, and then it released. It had a rough launch, etc., but I'm not talking about the PC version. See, when it was originally concepted and kickstarted, it was promoted as a cross-platform mobile game. And while technically you can actually play it on some mobile devices, it is not officially released on the Google Play Store, and it's not officially released as a supported mobile game. It can kind of, sort of, probably not going to be the greatest experience, but anyways, initially, it's supposed to be a mobile game. It hasn't come out yet, so it's still kind of a new game. And it's actually still in an evolutionary period. I still personally, normally I consider games out of early access before they even technically release early access. But this is, for the first time, it's the opposite. I don't think Albion is really done. I don't think it's really finished, and I think that there needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. It's still a very engaging game. I love its PvEVP. I love that you actually slot the different abilities inside of the unique weapons, and the guild clan system is pretty fun and pretty engaging as well. I think overall social game that also, despite what some people say, you can actually kind of solo it to an extent, depending if you want to do Farmville, if you just want to do a little bit of PvE. There is actually some content here. Now, it's no questing like in RuneScape, and it's not, full esport PvP, but the guilds can actually win seasons. PvP is engaging and mechanical, just like in League of Legends. You can have duels, you can become famous, you can actually do some cool stuff. And the game actually offers more than what you might expect and suspect. However, as a full-fledged MMO, it still needs to be continuously fleshed out, and it does need to release on mobile devices for me to consider it a full release. So that's why it's still upcoming. If you want to jump in now, there's some cool stuff, but I can't blame you for waiting. And if you do, whenever it does release on mobile, I think you're gonna have some fun. At least if you play on an iPad, a tablet, it can actually be a really cool game. If you're a fan of games like Vainglory, MOBAs, action MOBAs, which can actually work out pretty great, and some action RPGs on mobile devices, I think you're gonna have fun with this game. Next up on the list, halfway through, I'm slapping down Mad World. Now, it's going to be Albion Online despite the playtime I've had in that game, because Mad World is really freaking new, and it's kind of exciting. It's also browser-based, so you guys see, I do like playing, free-to-play games on browsers, on mobile. I love games that are accessible, especially MMOs. And Mad World, it's going to be a free-to-play, browser-based MMO that, from even in its early alpha test that I got to play, which you are seeing the gameplay of that, dude, it ran pretty great, and I really actually like the mechanics. Normally, games like this tend to be really clunky and chuggy, but no, dude, Mad World actually felt pretty fluid, and I really appreciate the art style as well. So out of a lot of these other browser-based and flash-based 2D MMOs, I played a few of these from Dead Maze and the Starbreak, and I really enjoy them, and I'll put them in top 10s, but Mad World just kind of has this really interesting design to it, and this feel that, obviously, that's what the list is all about, that classic action RPG feel, but then thrown into into the MMO universe, but then, you know, extra unique twist with the class system, extra unique twist with the raid boss, like open dungeon. It's fucking crazy, dude. I love it. The different twists that they're doing, that it takes kind of, you know, inspiration from modern MMOs, even modern IO games, throwing it together with this classic idea of the action RPG and trying to make it accessible for everyone. That's just kind of a beautiful idea that, you know, maybe the art style isn't for everyone, but I think it's grotesque in kind of a cool, cute sort of way. I think it just has an interesting aesthetic that maybe, I don't know, I just want to sink my teeth deeper into it when it finally officially releases. Hopefully you guys will join me. I'll be streaming that, obviously, over at twitch.tv/Skylint or probably on YouTube as well, if you guys want to do that. So let me know. Friends and family, Mad World. It's looking pretty cool. All right, guys, number 2 for the list, I'm slapping down Legends of Aria. So, Legends of Aria. This game had some name changes. It had some development, maybe potential issues. It seems like it's taken a little bit to come out, but it's finally actually going to be releasing here not too distantly, I think December. And when it releases, it's still, I would consider it personally kind of a soft release, almost like Albion, but the difference is that Legends of Aria, it allows players to own their own shards, their own servers, kind of Minecraftian, actually. If you played a lot of Minecraft games or Minecraft-like games, you might know what I'm talking about. And this is actually a new trend with MMOs that we're seeing. There were a couple others that were supposed to do stuff like this and they failed. Legends of Aria is still probably going to be very niche, but in the end, I think it's a cool idea to take this Ultima, basically like this Ultima-inspired design, and then, you know, kind of mix it a little bit more action-based, take a little bit more inspiration maybe from some action RPGs, which Ultima Online already was like, you know, kind of a part of that, and then make it an MMO, but also kind of, it's kind of weird that they fragment the player base, though, with all the different private servers and things like that, but if you've ever played a smaller MMO, a private server MMO, if you've ever played these games that do shard off like that, you know that sometimes the most social and engaging and massive feeling games are actually some of the most smallest and most kept. So I think that's kind of a cool idea. Maybe not going to be the most explosive and big game. Some of you guys maybe wouldn't agree at it being number 2, but the potential here for the player-run communities, you know, the different interesting mechanics that they can twist and turn in the game, because that's actually the gimmick, is when you make a server, you know, bend the rules and you can add stuff and things. I think that this could be cool. And maybe as a whole, it's not going to be quite like the MMO action RPG that you want, but individual servers could definitely become worthy of being at least number 2 or even number 1 on this list. All right, guys, number 1, it's a game I really wanted to promote, even so much that it's the reason why this video even exists. It inspired me that much, and that is Fractured. Now, if you just look at the gameplay so far, you probably think it looks like Path of Exile, or kind of Diablo-ish, or, you know, like a lot of other elder classical action RPG, and yeah, it does. It's very much inspired by that, which I made the list, action RPG MMO, but it is number 1 because it is absolutely focused on those MMO mechanics. You are definitely going to have a big focus on that guild gameplay, on that crafting, on that merchanting, on building up like different, I don't know, settlements, things like that, that cooperative and player versus player gameplay that you normally don't get in action RPG. This is a true dynamic MMO. Now, there's going to be some interesting weird mechanics we could talk about, like there's 3 different totally disbalanced and strange races, humans, freaking demons, freaking beastmen. Also, one thing to note that really excited me about the Kickstarter originally, which I did a video on, I was so hyping it up, and it was the art of this game, the direction, the design of this game really reminded me of like those old, like 90s sort of feel, that dark fantasy, and it is definitely not safe for work, so don't be clickety-clacking those links right now, boys, ladies, and gentlemen at school. It's pretty intense, it's very mature, and it feels like it's definitely targeting, I would say, at least in its core, the old Vanguard action RPG and MMO RPG players, but they also heavily promote the fact that it's going to change around a lot of systems that you're used to in MMO. Like, it's not going to be that grind-based, and the way you earn skills is entirely unique with their knowledge system. Instead of just repetitious, you know, grind and nonsensical questing, it's a little bit more skill-based, at least when it comes to learning to play the game is actually how you grow, and it's skill-based PvP. Legitimately, it's not going to focus on heavy gearing as much as it really is focused on what that gear can do for you, the strategy, the tactics, things like that. And, you know, we've heard that some games are attempting that, especially in this action RPG MMO genre, like Albion Online. But a lot of those games are still so weighted on the grind, on the time investment, and that is something that a lot of classic games did. A lot of new games inspired by classic design don't leave any of the bad behind, generally. They'll ice the cake with some new mechanics, but the cake still has some old worms in it. But Fractured seems like it's taking that old stuff and actually genuinely trying to return it into something extra special, taking the inspiration of the olden days and bringing it into something new for old and new players alike. So for that reason, man, I gotta definitely give applause to Fractured. But that's it for my list, guys. There's just 5 games that I thought were really interesting and in kind of a new, encroaching genre, I would dare say. Taking these, older action RPG design principles and these mechanics and then making them actual, truly MMOs. Frankly, I have to promote it like that because a lot of games like Path of Exile or Diablo are mislabeled as MMOs, like Dark Souls and what freaking Monster Hunter. Those aren't massively multiplayer games. But then when you actually have an MMO that has these ARPG mechanics, it kind of feels extra special. So I've played a few of these already. I've played many others. Many are hit, some are miss. Yeah, most are miss actually. But these are the ones that are looking genuinely very interesting. Probably not for everybody, but I think the people that watch me and engage, me and my audience and my community, I think all of us together, friends and family, I think we're gonna have fun streaming the game, playing the game together, and I think these are at least worthy of, peeling some eyeballs onto. You know what else is? My Patreon. If you guys want me actually buying these games, playing into these games, and reviewing them, and doing more videos like this, and checking out new games, well, I might need a little bit of help, so there's that. So thanks guys so much, friends and family, for actually supporting everything that I do here, and that we do as a community together, because that's what this is about. It's called Skylight Games, but, it's all of you guys that make it happen, make it worthy, so. If you guys want to collaborate, let me know as well in the comments below, or join the Discord and DM me or whatever, and that's gonna be it, guys.